So the Final Fantasy XVI demo is here. I played it. I want to talk about it. This is my review and why it's got me stoked on gaming. So the Final Fantasy XVI demo includes about 2.5 hours of gameplay and is basically the beginning of the game. You play through the prologue and your save data will carry over to the full gaming experience. I want to start by saying I had so much fun with this demo. I think I spent probably half the time just with my mouth open, just blown away at everything I was seeing. I want to go through a few things about the demo and what my thoughts are on if you should get this game, should you get a PS5, everything there is to go through. So starting visually, the game does definitely look next gen. It matches up with all of the big titles we've seen that are really pushing where things can be graphically. The setting is beautiful. The characters are well crafted and unique. The icons are really just these massive achievements in terms of how detailed and how cool we can make something look. Walking around the game, the castles are beautiful, the swamps are beautiful, the cutscenes are beautiful, the characters, the creatures, literally everything about this game is visually stunning. Musically, the game is phenomenal. You can definitely tell that Masayoshi Soken has a love for the Final Fantasy series and has been working with it for a long time. His score, while fresh and unique, is not overwhelming and not distracting during the game, but enhances every moment of it. There was a moment where I was watching a cutscene that I was completely enthralled in, and I realized that the music that was playing was a riff on the Final Fantasy prelude, and I lost my marbles. It was so good and refreshing to hear these tunes in a new light that they hadn't been necessarily done as before. So the game sounds and looks pretty, but how does it play? The combat of the game is incredible. While many action games feel like you're building to something and you're stacking things up one by one, this game feels like water. It flows like a river, seamlessly attack into attack. There's multiple ways you can go through and set things up. You have a ton of freedom with the combos. While the combat is complex, I never felt like it was something I was not going to be able to learn or grasp. It seemed very intuitive. The controls and the UI build was great for just easily understanding what it was I needed to do and get into it. Within about 30 minutes, I was pulling off complex combos and feeling like I had a great control of the combat system. For people who aren't combat veterans, I did try a couple of the ability rings that basically slow down some of the combat for you, whether it's the dodging or the combos or the skill checks, and they do make it significantly easier. It does take things off your plate so you don't have to worry about them. Even if you don't want to use them the entire time, they're great as training wheels to kind of get a grip on the combat system when you're first starting out. If your main concern was the combat of this game, I would definitely give the demo a try because I feel like it will assuage any fears you have about this not being the typical combat for a Final Fantasy game. Lastly, I want to talk about the story. The story of the game is incredible. Right off the bat, you're introduced to so many characters, and every single one of them seems interesting and feels like they have motivations that you want to know more about. I did take the chance to use the encyclopedia that shows up during cutscenes where you can pause and look at like who people are and what their deal is. The little blurbs in there were quite short. It was easy to read and figure out, oh, this is who that is. That makes sense. It was easy to just pop in there and go, okay, yeah, no, that is what I thought it was. The way the game introduces the different countries, the different factions, and the conflicts that are going on in Valistia is so well done. Everything flows really well in the story. The progression in these first 2 hours, everything makes sense and is compelling and enthralling. I have questions after the demo that I need answered. So I have characters that I already dislike. I have characters that I'm endeared to within 3 minutes. There were certain characters that I was like, I like them. And the story feels like it's going to be what we're used to from Final Fantasy, a beautiful, in-depth narrative that's going to pull at our heartstrings at times, make us laugh, make us want more, and really just take us into a new world. So the final question, is this game worth purchasing a PS5 over? While I think that there is no single game that is worth purchasing a PS5 over, I'll admit this is the game that got me to buy one. When this game was originally showcased at the PS5 announcement, I knew I had to pre-order. And with where it's positioned about 3 years after the PS5 coming out, at this point, I think Final Fantasy is the final nail in the coffin, cementing that there is a great library of games on the PS5. And I don't think it'll be the only game you buy and play if you buy a PS5, but I definitely think it's one of the first titles you should pick up. Just off the demo, I think that this is going to be a Final Fantasy to be remembered. I think Creative Business Unit 3 has done a fantastic job. I had trust in Yoshi P and the team that was developing this game before I played the demo, and all of that trust was confirmed in the 2.5 hours I've gotten to play. This game has me stoked on gaming, and I think it will have you stoked on gaming as well. So that's my review of the Final Fantasy XVI demo. If you like this content, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We do have lots of gaming content, and we will definitely be talking about more future releases to come. As always, much love.